Hi, I'm Yvonne Webb of Action Coach Business Coaching.
And I'm Stuart Clark, the Managing Director of Russell & Russell, and we're the co-hosts and sponsors of the Glasgow Business Stories podcast. If you're enjoying Glasgow Business Stories, then why not subscribe to the channel? There's new videos dropping every fortnight with great business stories from great business owners, so we don't want you to miss out.
Julie, welcome. We're chuffed to have you on Glasgow Business Stories. Thanks for coming along.
Great, thanks very much for the opportunity.
So we're really interested to hear your story. Start from wherever you like, but we'd love to hear a bit more about you and what you do.
Yep, great. So I started Perceptive almost 20 years ago. I was very fortunate after leaving university. My first job was with IBM and I worked in communications for them down in Spangle Valley in Greenock. And I was really fortunate to work with big global brands like that from the start of my career. So I worked in-house for IBM. Then I went to PwC and then went to RBS Group. And I was really fortunate to work with lots of fantastic people and fantastic agencies. But as a client, I felt really frustrated because the agencies that I tended to work with were not necessarily specialists in the sectors that we were working in. So they didn't have the depth of knowledge really that I would have expected. So I think one of the agencies that I worked with at RBS, I was saying to them, where's your next meeting? And they'd just been talking to me about mortgages and they were going to the next meeting. I think it was with L'Oreal to talk about lipsticks. There was no sort of common thread there at all. So I felt that there was a bit of a gap in the market as a frustrated client that we could have agency support or communications consultancy support where actually people knew your business inside out. They knew the sectors, they had the contacts in the sectors, so they were much more specialists. So when I set up Perceptive, I was very focused on making sure that we just focused on just a few sectors. So all we do is the built environment, science, technology and leisure. And we are very focused on clients' commercial goals. So some of the consultancies that I worked with, it was very much style over substance. So it was about, is this going to help win them an award rather than how's this going to help my business results? So we're very laser focused on trying to understand what our clients' goals are. So that could be about attracting investment. It could be about trying to drive more clients or a different sort of clients, maybe more profitable clients in particular sectors. It could be about trying to build a business for a profitable exit, or it could be about protecting a reputation or maybe attracting staff. So we're very clear with clients at the outset. We do a lot of work up front with clients at the outset just to understand exactly what they're trying to do as a business. And yes, absolutely, we can create awareness. We can drive visitors to their website. We can help protect their reputation, but not just for its own sake. It's about what's that going to in turn help them to do. And I think that's probably the secret of our success in terms of we have industry beating levels of client loyalty. So we've got clients who've been with us for 15 years, 10 years, 5. Most of our clients have been with us for 5 years or more. So we're very, very lucky.
And when you started out, what takes you from being in a nice employed job, nice salary, holidays, benefits, all the rest? What's the driver that pushed you to do your own business?
Madness. I always wanted to have my own business. So my mum and dad were employed and they were very keen on focusing all of us, I'm one of 4, all of us on work hard and believe in yourself and anything is possible. And my dad used to say, I think it's a Gary Player quote, the more you practice, the luckier you get. And it's true. So you won't necessarily win every time, but the more you practice, absolutely, the more likely you are to win and be successful. And I've got 2 daughters and I try to instill that in them too. So I just felt when I was working as a client, it was fantastic to have that big global brand experience and have that structure, the accountability and professionalism. But I felt that if I could apply that to a smaller organisation that maybe had all of those great things, but also the personal touch, there was a real opportunity there. And you're absolutely right. So walking away from a big salary, a big benefits package, that salary that's guaranteed. You guys will know this, coming into your bank account kind of month in, month out, that's really quite a hard thing to walk away from. But towards the end of my career at RBS, I worked at the time where there was a lot of discussion about PPI. I used to be the only person in the room saying you can't sell PPI like this, and here's all the reasons why. And that didn't land particularly well, let's just say. And I just felt that actually my values and what was happening just wasn't, and it was before the crash and ABN AMRO, and I'm very grateful to a lot of the work that I managed to do and the people that I worked with at RBS Group on a number of fronts. But I think with a lot of the banks, they just started to believe their own hype and it all came crashing down. I left in 2006 and felt that there was a real gap in the market for my sort of skills. I was very fortunate that our first client was Cisco, the technology giant, and then we landed our first property client. What happened a month in was I found out that I was pregnant with my first child.
Good timing.
Yes, terrible timing, and not so great planning, but I knew that I wanted to just, keep focusing on continuing to grow the business. And very fortunate that my husband decided to take a career break to allow me to continue to grow the business when we won our first property client. So that was really transformational because that allowed me to continue to make sure we could deliver great service for Cisco and for our property clients and our other clients. So it was quite a journey, and looking back now, I think it really was probably madness, but I'm really glad I did it at the time. And I guess, I don't know if you guys are similar, but you get to a point where you just need to do it however hard it's going to be. It really needs to be done. And it wasn't easy to walk away from all of that, but I'm really fortunate to have the great team and the great clients that we've got now.
Excellent. In the first couple of years then, did you have money set aside from your job that you're like, okay, I've got X amount I can give this before I need to kind of look at going back into it? Or was it just, right, I'll just back myself and hopefully win a few clients that'll pay the bills?
That would have been a great idea, wouldn't it, to have planned that in advance. So I was fortunate in that I did have a bit of a financial buffer, but I didn't have the same sort of income. And also I was really interested, I've always been really interested in property, and myself and my husband had watched a few too many property development programs and fancied ourselves as property developers just before the credit crunch and the crash. So our timing wasn't fantastic. So as well as being off and then or just about to start the business and leaving the bank, we also bought 3 other properties to develop. So one mortgage wasn't enough at the start. Started to heap on the pressure, but actually we developed them, and I was actually offered a job as a project manager by a developer. I turned that one down because that was at the same time as we had just landed the Cisco communications work as well. So yeah, it could have taken a completely different turn, and that's why, we're really passionate about the property side of things. And the great thing with property alongside our other sectors is it leaves a real lasting legacy, and it really improves lives and transforms futures. And that's what the ethos of Perceptive is about right from the start. All of our clients in some way or other, so it could be a housing association creating homes, much needed homes, or house builders, or when there's this real housing emergency, it could be science clients developing vaccines or medicines for people more quickly. And so all of our clients do amazing things, and that's really inspirational for me, but it's also really inspirational for our team.
I definitely want to come back to your values and your ethos, but just going back to landing that big client Cisco, then how did a brand new business manage to land such a big client? And if you hadn't landed that, what was that the saving grace that kind of kept you going for the first few years?
So that was really, really fortunate, really, really lucky. Actually, I was on honeymoon when I got a phone call, and it was a referral from somebody who had worked with before, saying that Cisco were looking for someone to help represent them in Scotland. And they'd known that I'd worked with IBM before that. So, but I didn't really I didn't know anybody at Cisco. I didn't have any knowledge, but actually having that sector knowledge, or a little bit of the sector knowledge, was helpful, but also what they were trying to do was very transferable from what I'd done with other organisations in-house as a client. And so I think a lot of it was really luck. I guess it's hard to say, if you were to turn the clock back, how would it have been differently? But that was an absolute flying start. It was a really lucky break.
As you say, the more you practice, the luckier you get. So because you had that experience, and because had you decided to niche from day one into, like, I'm going to focus on sectors that I know?
Yes, and that was quite deliberate, because I had that experience as a client, that I felt there wasn't this golden thread going through with other agents. None of the agents that I worked with were very specialist. So some of them had a specialism in financial services, but they also did things like motoring, retail. There wasn't really, for me, a consistent common thread, and I felt that was that gap in the market that was a good opportunity. But interestingly, when I started, I spoke to a few people who were in the consultancy world, and they felt, now bear in mind this is nearly 20 years ago, and I know being specialist is much more fashionable these days, but the feedback I got was, you're being far too narrow, you're narrowing your opportunity, but something in my gut just told me this was the right thing to do. And I really like to know what we're talking about. I really like to know all the facts and to be conscientious. And if you're trying to spread yourself too thinly, you just can't do that. And I think in terms of our clients, we understand what their challenges are because we know what's happening in their world. And if you're trying to do that with 40 sectors rather than 4, that'd be almost impossible.
And so just so we don't lose the essence of your business, I think it would be helpful if you really bring to life exactly how you help clients and what you actually do.
Sure. So we work with clients who want to achieve certain organisational goals. So that could be they want to attract more investment. They might want to achieve planning permission. They might want to attract more staff. They might want to attract, often in this cases, they're wanting to attract more customers, but very specific customers, because we're mainly in the business to business space. So what we do is we will work with them to create a very clear formula, or using our tried and tested framework to make sure that we understand what their goals are, and then we work with them to develop a strategy that will maximise the chances of them and the certainty of them actually achieving those goals in the shortest possible time. So, an example of that would be we work with house builders who, at the moment, obviously the interest rates has not come down. The market is pretty stagnant. People are just not moving house unless they really have to. So it makes it a much more competitive market. And what we can do is we can help them raise their profile, but also we have got a fantastic set of skills within the team in social and digital media, where we can target really very carefully who might be in the market and make sure that we're attracting them. So we're basically driving sales for them and sales leads at very high converting rate. So that could be, that's really, really helpful in terms of them attracting what is a very small, potentially small audience. So they're getting, more than their fair market share because of working with us.
And is most of your work done socially or digitally these days? What other levers do you pull for different clients? So
we do a lot of work in social and digital. We also do a lot of public affairs work as well. So that's about influencing policy towards what our clients are trying to achieve. So for instance, if a client is trying to secure planning permission, we would help them to achieve that by identifying what is the mood music? So what's the context of this? And what are the likely objections? So quite often what will happen is that people who are trying to secure planning permission will just follow the process without actually listening to the mood music first. So we can anticipate all the objections in advance and basically be able to mitigate those objections in advance. And then it's about trying to understand, okay, who has an interest in this? And yes, it's absolutely the usual politicians and councillors and things. But what you find in communities is often there'll be people who are maybe not official representatives of the community, but it could be, a head teacher, it could be someone who's starting started a Facebook group, and it's about trying to really get under the skin and understand who are the real people who are the real community leaders. They might not have an official title and who are influencing that. So we would get involved with trying to build relationships with them, trying to listen to them, and try to make sure that we are influencing that as effectively as possible, and to build relationships with our clients as well. So as well as the social and digital side of things, we also do public affairs and a lot of public relations work as well. So that's often dealing with the media on behalf of clients. Because we are specialists, we have got really good relationships with all the trade media and the business media as well. So we can help our clients understand what their agenda is, so we can help our clients achieve their goals with more certainty, because we understand all the agendas and we bring them together.
Excellent. And what's the most enjoyable part then from you? Like, what's the bit that you like doing best within the business?
So I think it's really, we're very fortunate. We've got very long-term client relationships, and often what will happen is that clients will work with us and maybe work alongside us. And a really good example is we were appointed by the consortium building the Athletes Village for the Commonwealth Games in 2009. And at the time, so the East End of Glasgow is a really cool and trendy place to live and work. In 2009, that absolutely wasn't the case. And we have played a small but very important role in transforming the perceptions of the East End of Glasgow. And we started working with Consortium Building Athletes Village. And we were about trying to, so they were building 6,000 homes, 600 homes there. So we were about trying to understand what else was happening in the area and trying to promote the area as a really attractive destination. And alongside working with the developer for the homes, we started working alongside Clyde Gateway, which is Scotland's largest and most successful urban regeneration company. And we were appointed by them just after the Games. We're working with them now, I think, for 11 years, reappointed every year. And we have helped them because of the awareness that we've created, and because we have been alongside them as they have grown their organisation. We have played a key role in helping to attract 4,000 homes, 8,000 jobs and £1.5 billion of investment. So, you know, that's not just down to us, but actually we hopefully have been power to their elbow in helping to achieve that. And by having a really positive reputation, that has helped them achieve that. So that for me is really about, you know, that's like improving lives and transforming futures, you know, in one go. So yeah, that's really, really stimulating and really rewarding.
And did those values and your ethos, did you have that, did it kind of build out of winning that contract, and kind of that's what you kind of said, okay, we've managed to do that, we want to focus on this? Or did you have that in place before, and did it help you to win that work?
So when I started Perceptive, I wanted to create a legacy. I wanted to have something that made a difference. And in the last few years, what we've done is tried to really hone that and really focus that. And so our purpose over the last couple of years has been honed as improving lives and transforming futures. And we use that as a litmus test for any clients that come to us, and also for the people that we recruit and the partners that we work with as well. So that's got to be consistent. And yeah, it's very helpful. It really focuses our minds, and also it's very motivational for our team as well, because we're not just, you know, creating a campaign for its sake. It's actually about how does that impact on lives.
Gives them clarity as to what they're trying to do. And did it help, do you have your clients in the past where you have had that disconnect where you've said, look, actually we're gonna have to stop working with you because actually, you know, it may seem like a good fee, but actually as you've got into it, your values aren't aligned, and you kind of go, actually we can't add the value here that we want to because you're not allowing us to live up to.
Yeah, so it's quite a strange thing. I think that us having that, although it probably wasn't as clearly defined right from the start, we seem to have attracted and been attracted to similar organisation with a similar purpose. So, right back to working with Cisco, they were talking about digital literacy 20 years ago, and they were investing in that at the Hills Trust in Govan, and trying to encourage people to be digitally literate, 20 years ago. So right from them to we started working with an organisation who have developed a huge inland surfing destination, which you could say, well, is that really improving lives? But it has created, a massive number of jobs. It's brought investment to the area, and actually surfing is amazing from a mental health perspective as well. So, and the guy who is the founder of that organisation, he came to us originally, and because he wanted to try to get planning permission for a disused quarry. So it has evolved over time, but he was trying to get it for this surfing destination. So there seems to be a bit of a thread, that runs through all of our clients. And I don't think we've really had a situation where a client has come to us and we've said, well, actually we have had a couple of clients come to us. So we've deliberately steered clear of financial services. or certain sectors, like that, where we feel, they're lending people money or whatever, but I just don't think that's as clear a fit as the built environment or, say, science or leisure technology.
And given where the current economy is, what changes are you seeing in the market? How are you adapting your clients to help them best prepare?
So I think it's a very tough market out there for everyone at the moment. And what we've been doing is really focusing on trying to help our clients grow with certainty to date. And what we're doing now actually is, rather than saying, okay, let's, think about 2026 plans in 2026, actually we're doing a lot of work with clients about how can we plan now to help your 2026, or even from now into 2026, be as successful as possible. So we're seeing a real shift. So we're focusing on how do we help clients grow in 2026, but actually do the planning now, so get a jump on 2026. So that is going down really well with our clients, because it's very proactive, which is one of our key values. And importantly, it's helping them have more chance of achieving their goals with more certainty, more efficiently.
And you talked about values a lot and purpose. It's really coming through that's important to you. Growing a team, how's that been? Because you go from not having maybe managed before to growing your own team. Talk us through that.
Yes, so I was very fortunate. So when I was at RBS Group, I hired a very talented woman called Leslie, and we worked together really closely. She was my deputy at RBS for a number of years. When we both left RBS, we went off and did our own thing. A couple of years into Perceptive, she approached me and said that she would like to work with me again. And we, at the time, I said, well, actually, I'm just 2 years in. I've got a baby. My husband's on leave. It's really difficult. And then the next day, I got a tummy bug and had to deliver a show home opening event launch. For one of our clients, who actually, it turns out he's now our non-exec. So I had to pick up the phone and say to her, Leslie, you've never met this guy before in your life, but I really need you to go and do this event. And this is what you need to do, and briefed her on the phone. And, we've just not looked back since then. So she has been with the business now for 17 years. She is absolutely my right-hand woman. We know each other really, really well. We're very similar, but we also complement each other. We've got some differences and things as well. So she's a great, I think the thing is, it's good to surround yourself with people who will not be afraid to challenge you, and you trust them and you trust their judgment. And we're a really good team. So we've been very fortunate to have her, and she's just so talented at what she does, and she's really good with people, and she's got a lot of skills that I don't have, and I'm not sure whether it's the same vice versa. But yeah, I'm very lucky to have had her. And then we built the team over the last 19 years, and we've got I've got a really fantastic senior team. And what I've tried to do over the last year is to work more on the business rather than in the business. So trying to make sure that I'm letting the team actually develop their commercial skills as well as their technical skills. So they're all technically brilliant, but it's about how do they develop their commercial skills, and they're never going to be able to do that if I, compress that and hold everything to myself. And, you can't do everything. And, I've got a really capable team, and it's just about continuing to develop them.
And what's changed that you've worked on that over the last year and not beforehand?
So I thought I was working on it beforehand. But I actually did some training with a coach, and she was really clear with me saying, if you want your business to really grow and to make a step change, you have to let go of so much client work. So I'm still involved with some clients, but a much more strategic level and brought in now and again, rather than me having clients that I run myself, because I've got a team that are perfectly capable of doing that. And also it gives me the headspace or the bandwidth to take a step back, and also allows me to have probably more strategic conversations with clients as well, and understand more about their world as well. So it's very much working on the business rather than in the business. But if I'm really honest, I think that I was probably in my comfort zone, because I really do love the technical stuff. I really do enjoy doing that, and you can see the impact. Whereas when you're working on the business, it's a slower sort of burn impact, better impact long term. But it's not that you've done something and you can immediately see the impact in the same way as if you're working sort of on the client side of things.
How challenging was it to move from working in the business to working on it? Was it?
So I spoke to Leslie about it, spoke to my team about it, and actually I drafted a job description, a job profile. So I already had one, but I said, look, I really needed to be honest with myself and say, right, okay, what do I need to stop doing and what do I need to do more of? And, some of the stuff I was already doing, but it's about trying to create that space to do more of the things that you should really be doing as leader of a business.
And did you find yourself getting pulled back into it, or the team? Was it the team pulling you back in? Or because sometimes when we speak to owners, they're the biggest bottleneck themselves. So it's not actually the team are quite happy to take it on, but they are like, oh no, I need to do that, or I need to do this. Was it hard to kind of self-regulate yourself, or were the team quite good at holding you to account?
I think it's always a work in progress, isn't it? Because, you find yourself sometimes reverting to type at times, and especially when there's, quick deadlines or whatever. And I guess it's just having that honest conversation about how much support does the team feel that they need. So, if we're having a commercial discussion, it's about checking in with the person. Is that okay? Are you comfortable with that? How much of my support do you need? That sort of thing. It's about testing that with them, but also you don't want people to feel like they're being left high and dry, at the same time. So it's about giving them as much support as they feel that they need.
Yeah, delegation rather than abdication.
And business isn't always plain sailing, as we know. So maybe talk us through some of the times that have been bumpy or that you've found challenging, and what your learnings have been.
So right from the start, finding out a month in to building a business when you've got, I think, 4 mortgages at the time, that I was pregnant, which was absolutely fantastic, really, really great. But I'm thinking, but how's this actually all going to work? And that was really challenging. And I don't think it's ever been quite as challenging as that. But I've been very focused on the long-term goal, and it's thinking, right, okay, the timing is, this is fantastic in so many ways. Time is maybe not probably what we had anticipated, but actually how can we work around that and to get a solution? And I think that's what myself and my team are really good at. So, life does throw curveballs at you. There's always things that you can't prepare for. COVID was another really good example where I found it really difficult to not be able to see my team physically in person and be able to really see, what was going on for them, to really understand. We obviously had Zoom and things like that, which were great, but it's not the same as actually being able to see people face to face. So I think it's about what's the challenge and how can we all pull together to address the challenge. And remembering some things are not necessarily COVID, but some things, seem really, really important, but it's maybe just a bump in the road, and, you need to keep your eye on the prize. And if you do the best you can and that, every single time, and support each other, then, it all usually turns out all right in the end.
And during things like COVID, Joe, from a client's perspective, were they kind of thinking, oh, actually, need to cut costs? Are you one of the, like, are they going, actually, PR is maybe one of the first thing we cut because everything's shut down? Or, yeah, what was that like?
So it was really, really challenging. We were very fortunate to be in sectors that a lot of them continued. So, for instance, the built environment, people still needed to buy houses, and the government was allowed that to continue after a while. You know, the sites were shut down for a while, but they were allowed to continue. But we helped our clients communicate, how do you get your site staff back on in a safe way? So we help them communicate that. We also help them, because I think organisations, unless you're in a space like events, which, you know, there was just no way around that really. What we were keen to do was to say to clients, look, actually, and you know, I'm sure you're aware, there's loads of research out there that, and challenges, it's the clients who think, right, how can I adapt to that and actually see it as an opportunity that come out best? Now, that is quite a leap of faith often, and it was about, we had a number of clients where we said to them, we understand this does seem like an absolute disaster, but lots of people will be thinking like you. So actually, if we keep your awareness top of mind, you're actually going to come out of this much more positively than if you just batten down the hatches, which is the initial temptation. And we were very successful and able to do that. So I'm not saying it was an easy time. It absolutely wasn't. And, you know, I think that was the 1 year we didn't have growth in our business, but we didn't have to let anyone go, which I'm really proud of. And we continued to grow the business after that as well. And importantly, we helped our clients continue to grow their businesses as well and to recover as quickly as possible.
And pro bono work's important to you as well, isn't it? You do some of that.
Yeah, so right since we started Perceptive, we've had so much support from people, and you know, like throughout my life and even when I was employed, people have been so generous and so helpful. And so what I've been really keen to do, so whether it's, you know, the corporate entertainment that we do, where possible, we would rather than take people to the races, we would take them to a charity event. So we try to funnel any sort of corporate hospitality where possible through the charity route. So we're supporting charities, and we have supported various different charities. So I sat on the marketing committee of Glasgow Children's Hospital charity in the early days of Perceptive, and we've helped various different charities like the Simon Community and Action for Children. So they've got an amazing initiative called Bite Night, which is all about you give up your bed for the night to raise money to help prevent youth homelessness, which is an incredible initiative that I think has raised something like £5 million. So we've helped them with that. We also have an initiative called Improving Lives, and that's about, we have a chosen charity every year where we, rather than, you know, you hear about organisations going away and, you know, painting a room for a charity or whatever, actually what we try to do is to apply our communication skills to that charity. So the most recent one that we've supported is a charity called Cancer Card, and it's started by an amazing, really inspirational lady called Jane Hardy, who has stage 4 cancer, and she felt when she was diagnosed that there was very little in the way of signposting to particular support. So she's created this charity as a one-stop shop in terms of trying to understand where the support might be, regardless of whichever cancer that you have, for people who are been diagnosed themselves, but also for their families. So we've helped support Jen, and she's been just so incredibly inspirational and motivational for me and the team. And we've also recently established 2 organisations called Senior Women in Science and Female Leaders. Co-founded a group with a lady called Leanna Canavan called Female Leaders in Construction. And the ethos of both of those organisations is to try to move the needle of trying to get a more balance in terms of gender at a senior level, because there's oodles research out there which shows that more gender balanced leadership teams perform better. So there's economic benefits, there's social benefits. Yes, it benefits the women who get those more senior roles, and but actually it benefits the whole economy. So we're focusing our Improving Lives effort at the moment around that.
Amazing stuff. And so what's next for Perceptive? Where are you taking it?
So we're very keen to continue to grow. We will definitely continue to focus on our chosen specialist sectors, and we want to just continue to help our clients grow, and we grow alongside them.
Okay, thank you. And we always finish up the podcast by asking, what's your guiding principle in business?
So I think, whatever we try to do in terms of our team, we developed an 8-player manifesto that everyone has signed up to. So that's about doing things like being focused on trying to do our best every day, trying to focus on delivering great results for our clients and improving lives and transforming futures. And the thing is, if you try to do your best every day, you can't go too far wrong. Well,
it's been wonderful having you, and thanks very much for sharing your story.
Great. Thank you very much for the opportunity.